Yamba de Sanje Shindu Mid Ananda Shina Jiba Shoy Windu Menda Menda Lakani Yandayami. Oh, yeah,他下了我用是做吧，前年是小中队主要提前年，他的年纪全部写吧，他把明白了，浪费三节吧写下吧，顺便往对前年，呀，是吧？他把明白给俺的抢救，我的前年，他了呀，浪的。让我是呢，俺的习语是让我学吧，他了让我把这你的啊，什节吧写起吧，顺便往对钱呐，我的浪尖吹吧也来把感谢也没什，多家最谈了比赛经过讲没什，这些什节们吧样，十斤拉面加起吧，原来当代中原呢，3年来着吧没。咸阳买中山美家，那我他们家孙女吧，做上现代人家那熟悉今的生美节，这买这桥买的也是的，买的跟着就是吧？本来我呢，生个德目能不给拉到几根把它开完当是的德目。你让人家把没说完了，开完当地的带着的，让不起吃把掉下去都去吃面，咱们给。咱们让给我用比来把东西一会吃为3家没吃吧，在这个别这个的开始就那电视主3家没吃完的，但多月是那样，俺的教育都是全部接完拿新鲜的，他别说不得钱就干了，接完的人家是全部去，俺那给他。这种新过的为啥？在本地这边加个蛮多，过于他认为谁经过的，经过的送信讲完的，讲信送完的比3家没这个提醒度，他得摆了马下来啊。年头上让3家去特别为3家member。俺让你去不？俺的喜悦对吧？等看是吧？那么让你喜欢当土啊，6吧，假如他10斤，6吧样钱，但假如他10斤，俺的2百单买吧，那买吧，样性加7吧，原来张华来带我准备，那是9吧，3年你了。俺的准备热巴站没在3家你淘宝吃饱给，俺的准备热巴站没基本上没写到呀。
So next, that then completes the discussion of how it is that nirvana occurs for them incidentally in the course of their practice, and then now is an explanation of the way the great compassion, And this what's next shown is that the bodhicitta, which is designed to here would probably could translate it that makes it superior from the inferior vehicles, and there's 3 parts of this, this is the third one that's discussed here. This form of bodhicitta, which causes them to be superior to the inferior vehicle. And here this is given in a verse with some verses 26, 27, 28, which have kind of unusual imagery and strange sort of metaphors that are, or similes that are implied here. And so to roughly translate the verse, it says that a jackal never has any notion of being able to split the brains of a enraged elephant. It never has that idea to be able to split open their skull, crack their skull open, and split their brains open. and likewise a member of the Matanga caste. It never has, it's a low caste, the elephant caste never thinks to be able to gain dominion over the entire sphere, the entire surface of the earth, which is surrounded by the ocean, the limitless ocean. Similarly, inferior sentient beings never even have the hope, or never give rise to the hope to achieve Buddhahood, which is profound, unexcelled, vast, which is the source of countless good qualities. So they never have that, and this. And likewise, they never give rise to the attitude or mind which so they don't, and then it goes on to enumerate the various qualities of the of Buddhahood, which is it's immeasurable, or something which is immeasurable. One could say immeasurable. It's marvelous. It's inconceivable. It outshines all other lights. It outshines all other lights. And so these precious good qualities of perfect Buddhahood, once someone has understood them, who would not give rise to the attitude of wishing to achieve those things? The last verse explains that once one understands these good qualities of Buddhahood, who would not, who is intelligent would not generate bodhicitta, give rise to that mind. So that's the verse in brief, and then the example is given that a jackal, it doesn't have the skill, and it doesn't have the skill to split open the brains of an elephant, because and the analogy that's given here is like a lion has sharp claws, and also the manual dexterity to be able to attack an elephant and split open its brains, and then the elephant that's described here is like an elephant that's very haughty, and it's in must, and so that its cheeks are covered with the must that comes about when they're in season and out of the desire that they're experiencing. So the elephant, so that these jackals don't even think to be able to attack these elephants and split open their brains and kill them in that way. Similarly, members of the low caste of Matangas, this is maybe an elephant herder caste, they don't have the any kind of thought to be able to rule in the way that those who have been born into the high castes of the royal families and so forth, like them, people that are born into the aristocracy will have the thought that maybe they can gain control, dominion over the world. So, but members of this Matanga caste never have that sort of notion. And so the metaphor for the world here is it's the surface of the earth is similar to like a disk of earth which is surrounded at its waist by the water of the four oceans in the four directions. So these Matangas never think that they'll be able to gain rule and be able to protect that kind of dominion of the entire earth surface. And so similar to that, so similar So just like that, so the analogy is then drawn between these first examples, and then likewise the Shravaka and Pratyekas, people who are in the vehicles of the Shravaka and Pratyeka vehicle, those inferior sentient beings, because even though they make a great deal of effort to pacify themselves and to tame themselves, train themselves, they don't give rise to even the hope that they'll be able to, they don't have the hope that is an aspiration to achieve Buddhahood, which is as vast, as deep as the ocean. It's without any kind of example. It's unrivaled, unexcelled in its vastness and its expanse, and it's the source for countless good qualities. So these Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas never even give rise to the hope to be able to achieve Buddhahood.
Oh yeah, that didn't. Shaya Majun Sam Major, now what time just junior, but Josan and there is Sushi, he sent me, said Della. Ani Teji Lana maybe, Ani Sanji, come on top of Dabani, Ani Time about more Shaya Sing. Ani Madu Meba, Medu Choma, Ani Shidu Yanjava, Sambi Majava, Ani somebody Yanda Badewa, somebody Yanda Badewa, and then now time just see number. Yendenji, now I share my liver, see number Zeba, said there, the Sanjay. Yendenji, now I share my liver, see number Zeba, Zobi Sanjay, and then Rimboche, Sanjay Gisayu, any or Yende Rimboche. Pandon de Shapagi, any Yendenji Nubu, Tala, any shadow that them was sushi, ye same midget, any Jokore, said there. Oh, sushi, ye same midget, said that, but
So then the rest of the commentary says, therefore, those who desire the unexcelled state, who that has a mind, who that's intelligent, wouldn't give rise to the wish. Here, that's saying basically develop bodhicitta, who would not generate the mind which wishes to achieve this state of Buddhahood. And then Buddhahood is described in various ways, saying that it's something that's measureless, sort of two ways of saying measureless here. It's something that can't be two different ways of saying measureless there. And it's marvelous, it's extremely amazing, it's inconceivable, it's completely beyond our ability to think of it. And then there's the epithet of it outshines all other lights. So all of the radiance of good qualities of other good qualities, the Buddhahood outshines all of those lights. And so these precious good qualities of perfect Buddhahood are here referring to the jewels of the good qualities of the Sugata meaning one who has achieved the complete extinction of all faults and the accomplishment of all good qualities. So anyone who has any wisdom, who would not develop the wish to achieve that within their minds?
Oh yeah, that. 先让先对切了，先对切把把瓦汤，就请比出点吧。熟悉款的他们把年纪得不难没些些，俺那身边先去团切吧了，俺那团切吧，俺那身边去东啊马六把切吧了，俺那把瓦。俺你毛病抓来那把结尾，俺那咋的吧？哦。 你就请比就请比出单单吧，你就随行，你花18趟，18趟我就在前面谈没吧，你年纪大不那我没写的，是吧？他这个对了乞丐多。 开发卡西找完娘娃的修，俺开发卡西找完娘娃的修是一个呢，开发卡西俺那找啊东阿金那个，俺娘他把修的，俺娘他把修的找啊的他烫呢是，俺这当找啊他给东阿设完了，俺让了搞啊他没搞把娘把给，俺 동안 대자기 내가 메감냐바게 안에 나바도바 전체 바땅데 아니 현재 니제 주비 체도야 아니 가위 파도야 아니 코요 동안 당도 렌지 주바치 그래 가위 파도야 저와 대자기 아니 동안 당도 렌지 주바치 그래 제샤와 라소와 승바다보 야
So then next is a verse which describes this heroic attitude, and it says that a hero who takes on the aims of others, who possesses the mode of conduct of a great person, who even though samsara is endless, 수십 코타 매바양 수십
수시宽大没把样，空气太大，气没太没把样，年纪大不那没些事情。
年纪大不那没些。
你们这个期间那我没些吧？
年纪大不第一年嘛说，年纪大不那没些。
가위 파도 안에 코아도 동이 가서 인식다 뭐 내가 미세 바디 조마 저마디 말량 거다 가와 가시 조와 양아서 가 매장면 배나도 봐 현재 니들 주비 가위 탄안에 코위 동아 탄도 량바체 가와 타이 봐도 아니 동아 탄도 량고 지나야 아니 량고 그래서
So maybe something like this. So even though samsara is limitless, they don't abide in it for they would remain in it as if it was for like a single day. I think maybe is some way to translate that. So then, as far as the explanation of the commentary on this verse, those who perform the aims of others, and they cut off the continuity of the entirety of the sufferings of all sentient beings. They're heroic in that respect, and they're heroes in that they possess also the skill to be able to be victorious over the enemy of the mental afflictions, and in that way, likewise, they possess all of they possess the way of behaving of a great person, Mahapurusha, a great being. And so they see, even though they see that samsara, the samsaric existence has no beginning and no end in sight, they act as though having to dwell within that, they would remain within that as though it were just for a single day. Something like that for the last line anyway. So then there's another verse which is quoted to illustrate this as well. So one who is skilled with respect to all of this, and having seen the way in which migrating beings are tormented, are experiencing all of the various torments that they're undergoing, the hardships that they're experiencing, they give up any idea that what they're about to do is difficult, or whether or not it's difficult. They're not concerned with that whatsoever, but they are willing to take up all of the sufferings of samsara and to do what needs to be done, even for eons, for limitless eons, even to achieve the slightest aim of others.
that is it. Kewa, Takasan Tenanshi, Kewa, Shen Jen, Sergala, Shed member Mando, Shed member Jian Kanshi, Yumbo Deva Chujang, Yuan Kangine, Ani Dewashawa Shindu, 남지 주 타라스 남시 주 세카라 다 주다라 켜와 남지 남지 시세가 다디가 사람 이지요 남시 주다 야다 남시 주다라 켜와 남지 냠바 마보 냠바 남바 마보 나바 패와 주와세 연전 나바 마 연전 저바 패와 주와 파바 코와 이름보네 시바 현지 아니 삼바 용수 저와 바시기 현대 제바 남지 아니 제수 주바 미세바 현지 제가시 로 제바 남지 제수 주바 미세데 대다 다니람 다니 양다베 람도 슈베니 아니 양다베 람도 슈바니 아니 무디장라 소와 현다장 아니 양다베라라 거바셔와 아니 강도 시위 양다베 람데라 아니 무디장라 소와 현다장 양다베라라 거바 체데 대니니지 집이 셰바 양다바 람도 거비 샘제 셰차와 시와 이노
So that above then completes the exposition of the third form of bodhicitta, which is causing avoidance of the inferior vehicle, and maybe causing others to avoid the inferior vehicle as well. And then the fourth exposition of great compassion follows, and this is given in from the point of view of this fourth form of bodhicitta, which is placing others in the correct path. And so this is given in verse 30, where it says that, and the syntax of this is extremely complicated, so I'm going to do my best to translate this. So it says, a skilled person who Kepa kanshi tegyu kangi damshi pegyoba pakpa dunshin pakpa shindun zenamgi
남지 시세 빠져 줘봐 제비 시라 자주 보지래
lamgi jesu jukmi che pakpa shindun zenamgi lamgi jesu jukmi che I sort of had this last night, and now I don't. So, let's see, the first is, so a wise, well, maybe I'll just read translate the commentary instead first, and then see if we can make sense of the verse after that. So here a wise person who possesses good qualities, who even though he or she has passed beyond this for a long time, meaning passed beyond samsara for a long time, I'm sorry, I just don't get it. Lamgi Jesu juk miche kepa shenyin
개와체 아니 현예제시 셔람면바체 셔람면바 인지레사 다디 현예제시 在단위지에서 현예제 항시체
단위 디 윤된 요레스
난 현예제시 셔람면바마 셔람면바라잖아 셔람면바라잖아 현예제 항시 뒤이름보네 대화를 주장하세 다 뒤이름보 대화를 주바게 안로질 안에 답변아 대화 뒤이름보네 대화 주장原来 관계 안 대화를 시작바 신도 아니 좀 된대지 대화를 시작바 신도 담지지 아니 담지시 저바체비시 기타래 개와 남지 아니 양바 마봉 양바 안에 가서를 냠바 마보 나바 저박시 나바 저바 펴와 잡아 년자 냠바 마보 나바 저바 펴와 주와 아니 파바 코와 유로네 시바 현지 삼바 용수 저와 마시기 아니 현대 저바 남지 다 남지 제수 주바 메시데 있을 현예전 세라면 받다 주바 메시데 있음 아니 대다 양다바 남도 쇼와니 제다 양다베 람도 중간 대다기 아니 람도 슈바네 무디잖아 써와야 아니 양도 람도 거바치 그랬어
Okay, I completely misunderstood this when I read it last night. Okay, so here then, so if the idea is that someone of inferior intellect who, it says here, is educated but, or the term actually technically means like educated but of inferior intellect. Such a person would not enter into the path of those who have achieved the aims of others. And so here it's referring to people like Tirthakas and so forth would not enter into this path which is praised and so forth. So to try to untangle this again.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here again, a person of inferior understanding, even if they're called skilled or educated, such a person does not follow after the path of those who have achieved the objectives of others. And then the description of that path is given in that it is something which is praised by masters who praise it in various ways, and it's that which is found within the accounts of the Tathagatas, and is praised as having all of these various good qualities. And I'm sorry again, I just don't get this. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Completely don't get it. Di nyamasong di sikche petring ringborata ani sikting pet drakpureti jo di pe kapuringa
남지 제수 주미 세대
말이 di kasa di kepe shenyin shin kanshik
kewa shenyin 健康性开挖下健慢慢转，现在健康性先，你康熙体育人不能带我出江是，但体育人不能带我的这边原来本来就体育不能的中间的去送过去，你康熙他带我的这边给他们等把中间的去送过去，你干等下来说话就是下出不了，原来看个人带我的这边给他们是就差了的。 对你知道了，俺那开完那么急，俺那年把他忙，那年把那忙不些的，年着年把他差把那把忙不，我把这把票去哇，是吧？票去哇，怕把花花鱼人不呢，西把先进三把元素这把把西给。 现在这把那么急，俺那现在这把那么急，那么去结束就把没写的，是大家给现在没把这送个蛮多上的，俺在那
So, yeah, roughly speaking, what's being said here is that these people of inferior intelligence, who, even though they may be educated and considered wise, they don't enter into this path, which is the path which is, here it's recounted in the essentially the tales or the accounts of the Sugatas for like the former lives of the Buddha and so forth, and it's something that is praised by all kinds of various masters in various ways, and it's Zebabashik, Papa Kura, Yunabur, and Shepa Shingi Samba, Yonsu Zopa Zeba. So, and what these stories of the previous lives of the Sugata illustrate is the way in which these Sugatas or Buddhas, when they were bodhisattvas, entered into samsara and performed all of the wonderful deeds to be able to completely achieve all of the aims of others. And so, in effect, that's what this verse is saying, is that someone who is of inferior intellect would not follow the path which has been expressed within these stories of the earlier activities of the Buddhas.
This one.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and then, so thus oneself, if one has entered into the correct path, then one should do what one can to place all of the tirthakas, etc., that is, these people of non-Buddhist philosophical and religious practice, into the correct path. And that is the explanation of great compassion, which is referring to this fourth kind of generation of bodhicitta, which is placing others, and here referring to tirthakas, etc., into the correct path.
Oh, yeah. 다 참바다 인지 류당 소 전도 명예와 전도 명예와 때문에 체를 참바다 인지 그 왕게 아니란 그 류당 소 전도 명예와 양비 체를 수치 추신 우와 따라 님보미 빌리디다 현변진도 주제변 신부 님보 주바체 아니 제샤와 매대 개와 참바다 인제 见 아니 수신 추신 그 로마당 아니 추인보 우와당 스위티바당 등계 정당 아니 재미 칸불라 소와 나신 전도라 님보 매와 나신 아니 리랑 류라양 야 님보 미빌리 디다라 현라 편반 주비 아니 见 现在偏半主表给见喇叭党、钢巴党、梅党、我党，然后下党，差了说话，俺那卡说的东往主边切呗，俺那我东往了，俺那边去没吧，旁边没吧，是吧？为了边有股没吧，这偏不大，这不都美国玩年纪，宁波党电话就清比钱，这方面吧，是不是咱你党？ 别这上不解决两个解决，古多几让现在不我把主板没写，主板没写的是，我把主板没写的是，这不就这样了哦。
So next comes an instruction to show how these bodhisattvas, out of their love and great and compassion, they're not concerned even with their own bodies and their own lives. They're not concerned with that. And so the verse here says, one who So there's a rhetorical question here. Who would not strive to achieve a body which is like, which has an essence like Meru, by giving up these bodies for the sake of others, to benefit others, as a means or condition for achieving this body which has a sort of core like that of Mount Meru. And that's the verse 31. And so here then the commentary on this says, a wise person out of their who possesses love and compassion, what wise person who possesses love and compassion would not be willing to give up these coarse ephemeral bodies, which are like the leaves of a plantain tree, which are like bubbles, which are like drops of dew, which are like autumn clouds, which are like houses made out of sand, etc. So these bodies, meaning some ordinary samsaric bodies, which are devoid of any kind of core or essence with heart within them, these who is wise, who has compassion and love, would not give these things away without any kind of concern whatsoever, like being willing to give them away without even sort of thinking about it. So who would not give those bodies to others in order to serve as a condition for helping them? And this includes things like giving away one's hands, one's feet, one's eyes, one's head, one's own flesh and blood, and so forth. By doing that sort of gift of one's own body to achieve the happiness of others, one is able to come into possession of a Vajra body, a body which has a sort of core which is adamantine and similar to Mount Meru in that it's completely imperturbable and has that kind of core to it. And it's endowed with the 32 stainless signs and the 80 excellent marks of a superior person. It's adorned with that, and so this body is like a Vajra body like that. Who would not make effort to accomplish that?
Oh yeah, da. I'm a dubar mishedi, dubar chaba tatar shene. Yaram yinje dambani kaji rere kashidang. Neji shiju lidani shenen diji shishedo. Oh, yarab doba yoba tani. Ani kasore, zawanyinji chambotan dancing. Ani semjan dungaji nawala mishibi, yinji shawandu chubi. Ani semji kaji rere layang. Ani gashi yurwatang, gaji gawatang, ani chiwatang, chipowatang, neji shi juwaki, da luki nyawate, neji shi juwi lin dida, xianlan dewa gewaki, ani shi juwa cheki, xianlan dewa gewaki, ani shi juwa cheto.
So then, having understood that, then the next verse says, superior persons who possess compassion make this body, the bodies that they have, as a basis for producing happiness in others. These bodies which, gross physical bodies, which are the source or basis for, in every moment, aging, death, and sickness. So that's how the verse reads roughly, and then the commentary here says, those who are worthy of praise, who are superior persons and possess compassion, that is, their minds are governed by compassion. They make these bodies, which are the basis for, in every moment, they age, they change, they eventually undergo death, and then they serve as a foundation for transmigration into other lives, and they're the bases for all of the sickness and such. These bodies, they make them as a basis for the production of happiness for others.
Oh yeah, that is that then tanjo, ani tanjo nye gawa, that is my share said it. Tanjo nye gawa nye tembe chiri. Tamje zhendang jiawa la mugum jiabang kwambadi, jiu qinbin joba yi, rebu yoba chawa zhe se, da tanjo ku qie joja dan tembe, ani tende tobi lam, gamdi, ani jiu qinbu ki, ya kansa jiu qinbu jiaba zhe yoba chawa zhe xie chawa mai de se, da tamje xie chawa ni, tamba namji chue ni tamji so, nyangsu langja, tamba namji nyangsu langwa chawi chue ni tamji so. Tiyi zhema yang yin de, tenda wi cham, ani nyangsu langji chue de da, nyangsu langba la tenne, ani langdo ji na la mongba ki tumu ki mianba sewa chewa yin za, tumu ki mianba sewa chebe che ro. tamze ji drama henji chungwa ni tamze ji drama dan henji du chungwa ne tamze drama dan jawa di ane ti tu la o tu di na ga so tambi chen na wa da de ko wa ko gu wa da ti tu la wo mi ko ba ja je cha wa ni sam jian ya wa da tuan zhuo dang a xin ji ji dan dang a bo ma sang wa dang 但拉罗党、大瓦罗巴党、他蔡荣部党三届没被几天写下吧？他过，我特大帮心，俺你全主把那矿把在那，看个是矿把古党单比，产业界矿把的，也把，哦，矿把俺那他就去参观给但上不得也把。 9,000比这笔其实9,000不给，俺那咱们两岁两百个，这笔90主把年纪，俺你刚说的，他就退把了，都也把这敲过来，是呀。
So next comes a verse describing the moment of opportunity that a person has. It's literally it's broken down in Tibetan into leisure and fortune. Kshana sampat it can also be translated more literally as a moment of opportunity. So here then, in order to demonstrate the difficulty of obtaining a life of leisure and fortune, or a moment of opportunity, then the various qualities or attributes that are presented are enumerated here. And so when one has achieved this moment of freedom or leisure in which one has gotten rid of the 8 conditions in which one doesn't have any freedom or leisure, and one is in possession of the lamp of the noble Dharma, then it is appropriate to make that fruitful by engaging in the practice of a great person. So that's the verse, and then the commentary here glosses the different parts of that. So the noble Dharma is the Dharma of those who are noble, and therefore it's called the noble Dharma. And that is a lamp because it's able to clear away the darkness of confusion. And so when one has achieved, or when one exists in conjunction with this lamp of the noble Dharma, that's the time in which one has possession of the lamp of the noble Dharma. And then with regard to the 8 conditions in which one doesn't have leisure or freedom, actually, or opportunity, these are enumerated in the list, where first is the hell of sentient beings, or it's just another name for hell, different hells, animal condition, the world of the Yama, the Preta Loka, the realm of the hungry ghosts, or the underworld, and then a condition where one's faculties are not complete. One is born as a barbarian, one has wrong views, one is born as a long-lived god, or has been born into a world in which there's no Buddha. And so those are the kind of conditions in which there's no opportunity to engage in any Dharma practice. And when those are avoided, and the time when one possesses the 9 conditions of opportunity or of freedom here, then in that kind of condition where one is in possession of all of these characteristics at that time, then it's appropriate to make effort, that one should engage in the effort to make that kind of life fruitful by engaging in the practice, following after the conduct which is practiced by a great person.
Oh yeah. That is all said. That come up with and never can't stand them. Mini Ambosa Lada Madu Nalate. Sanja Chedan Taji Dembanya Tenji Chanika, George said, Tenachiba inside, then they Tanga Jada Medavaso. Come up good and never can't Mini Toba. That you use it to Machama Zanje. Ambo Tawa Nidang. Oh, there's time Chavala Saba Lota Jam, Mariba Nidang. 아니, 다 요즘 밖에와 봐. 네, 제들이 들거나 아니 산에 지단도 중앙이다. 내가 대바다. 담비시 담바다. 최담바라 담바라 티제스 주바다. 담바라 남바 샤바타. 아니 남바 샤바티 제스 주바 산제 최다 담제제 담바니에다 대제주 세대다. 주바 샤바오. 야.
So now then, if one says, what does it mean to be in possession of these 9 conditions of freedom to practice? And here normally these are listed in a list of 10, or very frequently anyway, but here there's a difference in the enumeration of them, but they come down to essentially the same point. And so here it says, having obtained the state of a human being, having all of one's faculties intact and complete, not having engaged in extreme forms of bad karma. That's the next. Being born into a good family, being born in a place where a Buddha has appeared, having faith in the word here is literally foundation, but I mean faith in probably in karma and things like that, and then the Noble Dharma having been taught, that there are people who have engaged in the teaching of the Dharma, and that oneself is following after the Dharma that's been taught.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's Yana company me give a Jun是做我的，那就看先呢，remember 那么帮我他 ，remember 叫那么帮我他，但美国把这个那个，安尼两把马英把你当，我把马英把你当，俺不先把你马英把，是吧？安尼叫把你一把，叫把你拖把，手上把你当，我你马英把当，10几名的把当。那看出，那没原来简单给拿来唱呢，是把这就是看下天那讲给谁的谁就没能把你当，那这真把你当，有毛病大要把你当，哦呀。
Then here there's another list which gives the sort of 10 conditions of freedom, and these are given, they're enumerated in 10 according to these qualities of human life, and being in a complete state means that one has achieved this complete state of opportunity. And so someone might ask, what are the 10 qualities here? Being free from being born into a bad, literally caste here, bad caste, not being mute, not being mentally deficient, not having one's faculties be defective, being born male, having an excellent body, not being impoverished, not being controlled by others, having a good sort of speech, proper sort of diction maybe, or good speech, and then also being someone who is worthy of being viewed admirably by many other persons.
Oh yeah. 咱们你们这话多个把话来，长久是没东西，留汤不，留的汤不，是咱我们你们这话多个把话来，推都是让他把蛋白给留的你话，我们你们多个把话盘不你话，他呢长久就是没用说马当为，安尼推把给，安尼都是让他们把让他把蛋白。rabdu tembe si lu niwa nyawra shabi wandu chane da kasore umanyimbo telan rola pembe si chanju chenpo ten lamba chudan tumbe lamni do rabdu shula namba ze se chane o shechawala sowa mede tedara kondu chige tembe chuji 아니 다 살din 살라 사오 스바숨지 좋아니라 아니 패바 체비치 나는 바양다 바 조회 창주 전부를 아니 두시 미쳐봐 임바 현지 체면이 여러 면이 봐 미쳐봐 두시 미쳐봐 땜바양다 바 람바 아니 가서 한다바 라마 리비 수단 팀바 세들 수단 팀비 람니도 대단 롤라 펜버지 자주 첨부 랑 땡랑바 수단 팀비 람니도 세들 리비 수단 팀바 데라시바니 데라시베 람니지 제수랍도 슈바니사 안에 산제지 시달 때만 나신 안에 템비 람지 제수 때만 남지 제수 슈바니 넘버 제소
So that concludes then the first chapter which is on the subject of not losing one's bodhicitta, not abandoning one's bodhicitta, from the commentary on called Tarkajwala, or Blaze of Reasoning, which is a commentary on the Madhyamaka Hridaya, the heart of Madhyamika. And so that concludes that chapter. Then next chapter is, again, the title is given here in this edition of the text. The second chapter, which is properly adhering to the religious discipline of the Muni, the sage. And this is again from the commentary Tarkajwala, which is a commentary on Madhyamaka Hridaya. So then the title is given again. This is the second section of the Tarkajwala, the commentary on the Madhyamaka Hridaya, and so it begins by now. Someone who has so in order to in order to teach the way in which one should adhere to the religious observance of the stage, which entails not giving up, holding on to one's bodhicitta in a very firm fashion, not giving up one's bodhicitta, and engaging in the adhering to the unexcelled religious discipline of the sage in that way. In order to demonstrate that, this second chapter is presented, and so it starts off with the first verse. Thus, in order to benefit the world of transmigrating beings, having taken a bodhicitta, having taken up in a very firm way the quest for great awakening, and those who have correctly entered into this path, which is in accordance with the method for achieving the great awakening, are literally very, very attractive or very beautiful. And so that's stated there in the verse. Thus, in the way, just as it's been taught, in order to benefit the world, which is the world of the three existences, one can read that as referring to the underworld, the earth's surface, and heavens. One should properly take up in a firm fashion, without any breakage, the religious discipline for the great awakening, the unexcelled, true, perfect awakening. We should take that up, and in accordance with the proper method, one should enter into properly the path of the Sugatas, the Buddhas. And the one who does that is, it's said here, very attractive or beautiful, literally.
That's right. Oh, yeah. The one she will learn is Jesus Shubar. Jesus Rabdu Shubar number Zesos. That Lamde Kanshena. Tini Lamde Karesa, Chambat Numetang, Tini Chambat Numetang. 이제 편반 주바이 탐지도 병원에다 최신반의 선남매 세차와 매대 되니 참바 면면매당에서 자주 지선매당한테 아니 가르래서나 참바다 인지 준비 상황도 주에 자주 선마당와 연구와 인자 마당와 되니 참바 준비 샘전지 감 타다봐 아니 내가 여기서 잡아대병 오니 아니 내서매 비찬이당 그러와 가서래 되니 참반 녀매당 이제 편반 주바이 이제 전부 현 동아외 나니 동아외 나니 동아외 오니라 현 동아외 오니라 아니 동아 세와 그 판바주비 천이단 담배 동아 란자르 대비 판바주비 천이단 담배 아니 담배 된다에 간사되기 티바침비 티시도 티바침비 수년바당 아니 수마당 랑게 로라 장와당 소름이 태그 아니 로라 추바샤와당 아니 땜바탈라야 기다려 땜바탈라야 아니 랑그 아니 누바라 땜바 메도와라 아니 담비 시도바 쳬베게 원바메바 인데야
So the second verse here says, so what is that path, if you ask that? And then it's given in the verse. That consists of love, non-harm to others, compassion, the achievement of helping others, helpfulness to others, not being satisfied with one's understanding of the noble dharma, meaning never feeling like one has learned enough and is satisfied with that understanding of the noble dharma, and having no stinginess in giving the dharma, in the gift of the dharma. So that's the verse, and then each of these is glossed in the commentary. So first comes one who doesn't give up one's bodhicitta. Such a person is a person who has love, and great love in particular. And great love has this characteristic of wishing to completely protect the entirety of the realm of sentient beings, has that characteristic. And then the next point is the characteristic of non-harm to others, not wishing to harm others in any way. Then great compassion is explained as having the attitude of oneself suffering when one sees the suffering of others. And then such a person also possesses the characteristic of wishing to benefit others, and in terms of their engagement with the Mahayana, the method of the Mahayana, they want to listen to the teachings, they want to hold them, they want to preserve them, they want to internalize them in their entirety, and they never give up their effort to striving to understand the teachings in that way. And so that's sort of the definition there of not being satisfied with out of one's understanding of the noble dharma.
Oh yeah, that is one of my ideas. 지금도 대의 안에 니 간다. 안에 니모 맞아 참모 쳐져 봐다. 쳐라 가와다. 아니 로 쳐라 샤와다. 고좀 쳐지 제수 tum바게 아니 제수 쳐지 제수 준비 쳐제대. 쳐제대. 아니 나다 치료지 양 아니 용수 매봐. 용수 미동아 매봐 쳐지치도 용수 미동아 매봐 미동아데 주세자 매징 라마라 꾸디상 니고와 차와 강 니와 밀렘바 태양 주세자 매라 나자 레자 나자 방시 나자 매비 니와 쩌바니 아니 내가 저번에 내가 밀렘바 태양 중산매도 나자 매비 내가 밀렘바 태양 중산자매도 시에자와라 소와숨바다고 야.
So this is explained further in what appears to be a sutra passage which is cited here, and that's explained as in following that day and night one desires the dharma, one takes delight in the dharma, one is infused into the dharma, one is engaged in the practice, and one behaves in a way which is in accordance with the dharma. One never gives up any external or internal or external thing, and there's 낭당 치료긴 거 뭐냐 용수 미탕와
낭당 치료진 거 강나야 아니 현라 용수 미통와 태양 중산 매지
So, yeah, it says there literally they don't, such a person doesn't entirely abandon any kind of internal or external thing. They,
아니 랑게 사베 개발라서 족쇼쇼 여기 최단 개발라서 하는 자초가 되세. 그건 개발다 치료가 오고.
So one could maybe read this as saying that one doesn't ever give up even the slightest internal, meaning one's own merit, the cultivation of one's own merit or the merits of others as well. Maybe you could read that like that. And then it says they serve the guru and serve and so they perform service to the guru, they make offerings to the guru and all of the various forms of service that the guru requires, and there's no activity in all which they don't take up in that respect. There's nothing at all in performing that service and respect that they won't perform, and they give up all forms of pride, and they don't
랑기 ngaja mechewa ngaja panshi ngaja mebinya chobani ngaja mebinya chobani nyawa milemba 태양 junsamedo sinyawa milemba 태양 junsamedo
nyawa milemba ngaja mebinya chobba
ngaja ngaja panshi ngaja mebinya 아니 가르서는 nyawa chobati nyawa milemba 태양 am nyawa milemba mare milemba 태양 junsamedo nyawa lemba 마이바 milemba 태양 junsamedo.
So and then there's it says maybe they don't even perform even though they give up all sorts of pride, they don't act as if they're giving up their pride in the course of performing actions which are suitable for pride. So these sorts of things are this is what's said in that sutra.
Oh yeah. 다디니 치주비 아니 리덴 개발전 깨와당 아니 나저양 아니 감바당 셴바텐데 그 마인바 나저당 아니 리부주리당 르상와당 치주비 유당 치주비 뒤len 나와 매신 어때달라 나와 매신 나저다 르당 유당 뒤len 나와 매신 섬전 탐자라 녀바를 쓰래 섬전 탐자라 아다 녀바 차당 매바 예린 차당 매바 소녀바 야나 팬데 주비 섬미링도 매바 녀바 칼레잖아 자고 섬전 탐자라 녀바를 최나바 제신 녀바 최나바 제신시 셰럽게티체 최진바라 선나 매바양 임바 최진바 제바라 선나 매바양 이노
So then it further says that they don't go beyond that which is appropriate for their life, for their stage in life, for their class or caste, the country they're in, the appropriate time. They don't go beyond that. And then they differentiate the Dharma in accordance equally for all sentient beings. They expound, probably it means expound the Dharma equally for all sentient beings, and they're devoid of any kind of stinginess in their gift of the Dharma.
Oh yeah, that detail, Chanda Naja Jumbatang, Yiji Tingi Dawatang, Shanju Dola Longwatang, Ranjun Jungwan, Ranjun Juan Jibayin, Yuju Travel Changwatang, what is that TV? Kimbatang. Kimbatang, that Karina Rang said the Karina Rangi Javamando, Kimbata Javadan Trave. Rangi said that Kimbasang Ajatang, and then Rangi Javadan Trave. Majajo Batang. Oh, Nicasa Kindang Ajajo, the Yiji Tini Tawatang, Sigala, and it then Javachu, turn Yantaba. 其他我许多同外，俺等这个团了，等这个以及俺铁矿呢，团大瓦当。 现就到了龙华大让就永远几百人写的现就跟全部他那样旅行龙华大的前辈怕没得把龙华大的前辈没得你现就捐了到把了龙华堂那你看那么多都这么几让你了你看那么多你话都这么几讲几百单位你让个捐助几百的是吧让你给你看那么多瞧没人把他没给我你话都这么几讲你台湾几百单位让个捐助了几百的太大不太大一当单位那么这话一弄啊
So then next comes further discussion of this, this discipline of the Muni, religious observance of the sage. So they behave in a straightforward fashion. They destroy their pride. They view reality with their mind. They behave as if they're blind to the faults of others, and they're terrified of their own faults occurring. So the commentary on that explains that because they're devoid of any kind of deceit or deceit, they're straight in their behavior. Because they're free from haughtiness or arrogance, they destroy their pride. And because they, by seeing as it actually is, the meaning of dependent origination, they observe or they see reality in their minds, and they act as if they're stupid, actually, and blind with respect to the great faults of others. They pretend that they just ignore the faults of others, and so they act. That's what is meant by they're blind to the faults of others. They behave as if they don't see or understand the faults of others, and because they look with fear upon the misdeeds that they themselves, even the slightest of misdeeds that they themselves have performed, they're terrified of the arising of their own faults. So someone who possesses these kinds of qualities is said to be beautiful.
Oh yeah. The guys at that in这档几点都这场你几点讲吧接起去原来没了原来呢越能叫我大都可以他做吧呢先去说吧谁用啊俺干吧去吧是吧谁用啊当你让个说下边过呢你我让就当先说你来点别你我请人把马瓦当你几点别他们判准他把这把当你判准个跟长的点把了判准长主把当这个是绝比是的你这把我这个这张是几点你都这呢你全马人把当你全马人被查完全马人把当你查完马人把没给被查完是吧你几点你彻底拼着对吧你几点把它先就你多心你太大个全马哇你几点讲白你养大把你去龙当车呗三这个干龙看没人把人长三这那做了宝宝我太大了对不起瞧完呢你没瞧完我对不起瞧完呢太大没瞧完我原点没了原点机就那么几就那么原点没把了原点机就那么叫我大头去完呢是就原点没里把没把了什间原点没里把没把了样什间他们这体系系比你不单单把没行是他就原点早但那没个几了样你什间他们这了体系系比你不这单单把没行 라 지지지의 님보 인원이나 마음반에 안에 상자와 주어인상 뒤에는 연대다 봐 주로 세나 마음반에 안에 연대 림지페데 안에 상자지 고마토와 주어인상 뒤에는 연대다 봐 주로 연대 주는 깨와 따도 그와 매려바테 그와 말려바테 시야 되버주다
So next comes some instructions on or how these people behave. They avoid arguments, contention and fighting and so forth. They avoid the busyness of the world, the idle or sort of worldly worldly activities, busyness of the world. They turn their backs literally on lokayatas. These are the materialists and materialists, and they also consider. They always give rise to respect for it says here literally the streams of good qualities of those who have no qualities. That'll be explained in the commentary. So they constantly give rise to respect towards such people. So the word disputes. Disputes are explained here as, and the avoidance of disputes is things like saying evil kinds of words because of trying to reject somebody else's position and establish one's own position out of one's attachment to sides, partisanship, saying my side's right and yours is wrong, and fighting about that. So arguing in that way, they avoid that kind of those evil words. They avoid the sort of fighting and strife that one finds in the world, the way the world engages in criticism, of mean criticism, and fighting for various kinds of contentious purposes. So they avoid all of that. And then likewise the busyness of the world. Busyness of the world refers to non-dharma things, meaningless things, things which shouldn't be done, specifically non-virtuous kinds of behavior, and then all of the various kinds of behavior that one finds in the world out of desire for samsaric pleasure. So they avoid associating and engaging in conversation with people like that. And then they also avoid the company of lokayatas, materialists, who are inflated with sort of some false belief that they understand some secret things which are actually devoid of any kind of correct understanding of the way things are, correct tradition that has been passed down. And so turning one's back on those is what the verse says, and it means basically not associating with people like that, not having anything to do with them. And so then the last bit is where it says that they constantly they constantly produce respect for the continua, the streams of good qualities of those who have no good qualities. So this is referring to persons who, even though they don't have any kind of good qualities at all, because it's the case that all sentient beings are in possession of the essence of the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha nature. So the Bodhisattva would then think that these beings, even though at the moment they don't have any kind of good qualities at all, or there are no obvious good qualities, that even these persons here at another time will come into possession of good qualities, and so they develop respect for the stream of good qualities that's suitable to arise within these other persons, and out of that respect they don't just dismiss them or just dismiss them.
Oh yeah, that 되게 가사 그 최소한 메샤바데 멤버라 근데 메라야 아니 근데 멤버데 요미 아니 최소한 메샤바데라다 대송도 그와 밀려바데 좀 된대지장 결론타 가사 그 안천 맞지지 연된见到 연된 멤버 그 천맞지지 가사를 최장 맞지지 결론 다 아무나 잡에 가사를 채송와 차오 시송받다고 좀 된대 아니 두지 감다 삼바 치다와 셈바지 셈바도 마도 아니 가사 그 송화차 송을 메샤스 어디 말에
So the scriptural evidence adduced or provided here in support of that last statement about considering those, even if they appear like they have no qualities, one should respect them and not just dismiss them or treat them as insignificant. Then it says, it's quoted a sutra here that says. So the Bhagavan, that's Lord Buddha said, "O monks," he was addressing his monks, "a person should not attempt to measure to evaluate another person, and you should not try to evaluate another person. O monks, I or someone like myself is able to gain the measure of a person."
Oh yeah. 他前样，年纪这边金巴他，就会穿那他们这些，东啊秋归学节，他们这些人都把节，是我对给他，年纪这边金巴他，这下完呢，安尼他，卡说的，金巴这怕金巴了在呢，安尼出金巴给出两个档，让金贝这部的啦，安尼叫我起码了，弄起了说话要给人话买吧。是吧？你这边金巴大结巴的两当职务了，这话没法儿。你把些给往个年纪前辈下往都出的，真的他，你这把些给往个杨大把这边给，俺这当一三把的，先俺这看胖把太大了，俺这不看没对比呗，胖把三把给老提，俺这太给当一三把提，现在又当三把提。 아니 최당 아니 사생당 왕당团党 다日巴党 내당 미지바 시자요 오남 뒤 지바 셔바오 어딘바자 자치바지로 최당 사생당 왕당团党 日巴党 내당 미지바 시자요 오 누구나 지바 셔바오 야
So then, moreover, it says that the generosity which is produced out of compassion is designed to completely pacify the stream of suffering of the entire mass of sentient beings, of living beings. And in order to pacify that, one should generate the desire for omniscience. And that's the verse. And so here, with respect to the generosity which is produced by compassion, here this generosity occurs without any wish for a recompense or any kind of like wanting something in return for it, and or wishing for some kind of result for oneself in the future out of this compassion. But it's out of this generosity, but simply it's generated entirely merely by compassion itself, and out of that kind of generosity, that mind of giving which comes out of that, then one is to engage in the 7 kinds of generosity, which is the gift of dharma, gift of material things, gift of power, or maybe you could say autonomy here, some free, autonomy, the gift of artha is like wealth, maybe again, and I'm not rikpa sana. So maybe like here there's another word which means something like some understanding of the way of what one ought to do and avoid, and then giving of people, giving like a residence to someone, and giving freedom from fear, all of those gifts.
어제 다 되네. 집이 소남 탐제지 동아 치고 그시칠 세차와니 강거천도다 간제 오와 체제나 랑이 공도스 그 진바라 소위 관에 진바라 소위 안에 그위자와 강주바 체다 안에 강거천도 오와 체제나 다 제네시 지된 공안을 제와다 안을 제와다 저실을 제와다 주디 제와다 제네시체 对吧？然对吧？看来咱们，俺那首先当，俺那首先马英把水没都接吧去，看顺度，我到那看顺度，我说首先马英把马六把他给，谁哦？首先都看顺度，马英把马六把他给，俺那他连夜就往给接完了，所以俺那东华就去进他们家，你要来洗洗头。 是吧？你要洗碗汤，是你要洗洗肉是。这些看到我了是，你要来洗呢，看到我了是呢，这些看到我去捡呐。俺那他们家钱不对吧？他们家钱吧对吧？你借钱吧对。3件你了，这到给东啊，你为你要洗为气度，俺那讨价那把羊大把作为3件就恐怕特别气度，俺那用说我气度，现在了3件你了对吧？羊大把这边听你。
So then the remainder of that verse is explained as follows. So it says one is doing this in order to completely pacify the streams of suffering, rivers of suffering of all the entire mass of all samsaric living beings. And then that's explained in the commentary as follows. So that last statement in the last lines, last 2 lines of the verse is for what purpose should one dedicate all of that generosity? And then it's explained here as follows. There are different forms of birth. There are living beings that are born within the world. They're born from eggs. They're born from wombs. They're born from warm moisture. They're born in a spontaneous fashion or spontaneous or sort of miraculous fashion. They're born within, so those are all types of birth that can occur within the desire realm. And then likewise, they're born within the spheres of non-physical, embodied meditative absorption, and then the unembodied realms of non-physical states of meditative absorption. So all of these are the various kinds of births that can be that beings can take, and within that there's streams of rivers of suffering within all of those various forms of birth. And so this generosity is done in order to completely pacify the entirety of those. And then if you ask, well, for what purpose then is one to completely dedicate the merit or these actions of generosity that one's engaged in? Then it's in order to generate. Then the verse says to generate the desire for omniscience itself, and omniscience is a short here for Buddhahood. By generating properly generating the desire for Buddhahood, and one dedicates all of that for that purpose, for the achievement of omniscience.
Yeah,
We'll stop there.